Despite being a nearly old at this point in time, we might be late to the party, but we are finally here and ready to review one of the hottest smartphones currently available on the market. Hey there everyone, and how are you guys doing today? My name is Joe Marion, and I am from MobileCupOfJoe.com, and in this episode of Mobile Cup of Joe, I'm going to bring you my full review of the Apple iPhone 5 on Verizon Wireless. So yes, I know the iPhone 5 is very old. It's almost a year old at this point, but it's actually pretty surprising how well it has aged. We're expecting the inevitable announcement of the Apple iPhone 5S and the 5C, but as of this point in time, as the time of this recording, the iPhone 5 is still the latest smartphone from Apple, and when you consider it's a year old, again, very impressive just how well it has aged in a year's time, because in the smartphone market, a year is pretty much like a decade. So the iPhone 5 is packing in some specifications, such as a 4-inch 1136 by 640 HD screen. You have a 1.3 GHz dual-core Apple A6 processor, 1 GB of RAM, an 8 megapixel iSight camera, and more. So let's go ahead and find out if the iPhone 5 truly stacks up to the other competitors like the Galaxy S4 and the HTC One, even though it is a year old. We're going to find out all that and more in our full review of the Apple iPhone 5. But before we go any further, please go ahead and grab that coffee cup, fill it up, bring it over, and sit on down. Take a swig from a Mobile Cup of Joe.
All right. Before we get too far in this video review, just like to give a really big thank you and shout out to our friends and pals over at Verizon Wireless for hooking us up with the Apple iPhone 5 right here and other awesome Verizon products. Guys, it's because of companies like Verizon Wireless that do make Mobile Cup of Joe possible, because they send us products like the iPhone 5 to unbox and review for you guys, our fans. So big thanks to Verizon for the iPhone 5, and let's not waste any more time without further introduction and get into this review right here. And as with all of our video reviews, let's start out by taking a look at some design and build quality aspects of the phone. So the iPhone 5 measures in at 4.87 by 2.31 by 0.30 inches, and it weighs in at 3.95 ounces, making it very thin and lightweight, as you can see right there. Really not thick at all. Very clean device right here, and it's got these nice flat edges, which actually enable you to stand the phone up like this if for some reason you want to do that, but the edges are nice and flat, feels very good in the hand, so really do like how they balanced the weight in the phone and how slim it is. Very good design pros right there. Now in terms of a tour of the product, you have your 4-inch screen on the front. Below that you've got your one physical home button right there, no back or menu buttons. As with all iPhones, we have just one home button. Up top we have our 1.2 megapixel front-facing camera with our little headset speaker right there. Going on the back, we have our 8 megapixel iSight camera with LED flash, our Apple logo, and our iPhone logo. On the top, we have our power/lock button. On the bottom, we have our 3.5mm headphone jack, our speaker grills right there, and our lightning connector right there, which I really do like. The lightning connector, unlike the 30-pin connector in our previous iPhones, the lightning connector is very nice. The cable that goes into this, it's much more durable and slimmer than the original 30-pin connector, and it is reversible, so no matter what way you insert the lightning connector in here, it will fit, which actually makes it very nice, and it's going to be really hard to go back to a standard micro USB after that, because you go into bed, it's late at night, it's like 11 o'clock at night, you're trying to plug in your charger, and it won't go in, then you realize after 5 minutes that, hey dummy, you're putting it in the wrong way, so nice to have that reversible connector here on the iPhone 5. Now on the left-hand side, we do have our little switch right here that will turn the phone into like a silence mode. We've got our 2 volume rockers, and going on to the right, we have our SIM tray right here. Now, in terms of a design standpoint and just from a looks alone, the iPhone 5 looks really great. You've got a nice aluminum and glass body right here, and on the back you have a 2-tone color scheme with kind of a black glass on the top and bottom with a nice kind of little matte gray aluminum in the middle, which makes it look, again, really nice. And the sides, too, you got this aluminum wrapping, which makes the phone just look downright incredible and really isn't a sexy device. Now, while it may look very pretty, it doesn't feel all that durable. It feels like if you just drop the phone, that it's going to shatter immediately. You can just drop it down, and I'll cut my microphone out, but just listen to how much of a sound this makes when you drop it. and you just hear that doesn't sound good at all. Listen again. It just sounds awful when you drop it. No, I don't know. It doesn't feel very durable. I know how iPhones go. I know how easy they are to shatter. And the phone, again, while it looks good, just look, there's numerous scratches. If it wants to focus properly, you can see there's just numerous scratches all over and numerous dings and everything all over the phone. And granted, this has been through multiple reviewers and multiple journalists, but I got a few new scratches and dings on it just in my few short days with the iPhone 5. So really not that all of durable of a phone, which is kind of a disappointment. So again, from a look standpoint, phenomenal, but I just don't see this as being a really strong product. Now let's go on to some hardware. So the iPhone 5 is packing in a 4-inch display. It's a Retina display with a pixel resolution of 1136 by 640. Again, that's a Retina display, and it may not, I know not 1080p HD like a lot of you Android fans are running about, which I like 1080p HD screens. I'm not going to lie, I love 1080p HD. But the iPhone 5, although it is a lower resolution, it's packing in 326 pixels per inch. And as you can see right there, it looks pretty nice. I said pretty about 3 or 5 times right there, but that's just to emphasize how nice this screen looks. Again, Retina display, so you're going to get great outdoor visibility, awesome viewing angles, and the colors and everything just really pop on the screen. Text is very crisp. I know video and gaming looks phenomenal on here. So really do like the resolution of the screen, but my real issue with the screen is just its size. And I know 4 inches is bigger than all the other iPhones have been. All the iPhones previous to this, the 4S, the 4, the 3GS, the 3G, and the original iPhone were all 3.5 inches. So this is the largest iPhone really ever in terms of a display size. But personally, it's just way too small for me. Granted, I've worked with smartphones like the LG Optimus G Pro and Samsung Galaxy Note 2, which have 5.5 inch displays, but I've worked with a lot of phones with 4.3 inches, 4.5 inches, 5 inches, and for me personally, 4.8, 4.75 inches is the sweet spot for a screen size because it's big enough to where you're going to have a good display for media consumption. So if you're playing a game or watching a video, you've got good screen real estate for that, but it's also easy to use in one hand. I'll give the iPhone 5 the Pro that it is extremely easy to use in one hand. You can easily reach all 4 corners of the phone without any issue. But at 4 inches, I just found it was a bit too small for my taste to watch YouTube videos or play games. Granted, they looked really good, but if I'm going to play, Tiny Wings or Beach Buggy Blitz or something, having it on a 4-inch screen like this just felt a little claustrophobic for my taste. Now, while we're talking about gaming, we might as well talk about the processing power. The iPhone 5 is packing in a 1.3 GHz dual-core A6 CPU, along with 1 GB of RAM. So, processing specs may not sound like a whole lot, 1.3 GHz dual-core and only 1 GB of RAM, but really gaming performance and processing performance overall was blazingly fast here. Apple's A6 processing chip is a behemoth of a processor. Got tons of power. I'm going to go ahead and do some Beach Buggy Blitz on here, one of my personal favorites, to test out the graphical performance of phone processors. And it is loading up right there. Ready, set, and go. Looks like you have touch controls. And you can see right there that the game just looks really great on the screen right now. I know, fantastic frame rate, no stuttering at all, a great color reproduction. Again, that screen resolution makes the games just look fantastic on here. And we'll race around for a little bit. See if we can make this jump. Can we make the jump? Oh, let's get the boost. We missed the boost. Oh, we crashed and we failed miserably. And let's just race along for a little bit more. We're crashing into everything. Let's just go out in a marvelous crash. Let's crash into a house if we can. Boom. We need a driver's license, sir. We're going to end it at that. But you can see that the gaming performance is fantastic here on the iPhone 5. And you can go through all of your applications. I can go into my clock, back out of that, hop into my music player, hop into my podcasts, swipe back over, and go over into my messages, and everything just runs very fast. Again, there's no lag at all. So really, really great processing power here on the iPhone 5. Now let's go and talk about some cameras. So as mentioned before, the front-facing camera on the iPhone 5 is a 1.2 megapixel shooter, whereas on the back you have an 8 megapixel iSight camera with LED flash. So I personally had kind of a mixed bag of results with the camera. I will show you some really good images I was able to get with the camera on here. You can see that the detail in this picture, get back in there, is pretty good right here. A nice rock right there, because I thought that I would demonstrate the camera capabilities by taking a picture of a rock. Not sure how my thought process went for that, but you can see in the sunflower right here, the colors are nice and detailed. You got good detail in all the little parts of the flower. Let's see if I have another few pictures on here that demonstrate it. This is actually a really good one I got of this little, some kind of flower. It's actually much pinker than the camera is representing. It's a very bright pink on here. Not sure why it's not picking that up so well, but you can see the individual water droplets on here, and I was able to get a few really good shots, but I also got some really poor shots because I had kind of an issue of actually the autofocus on the camera. When I was in the camera application and I was trying to focus on a specific subject, it didn't always seem like it wanted to focus on that for me, which is kind of an annoyance. I would try to take a picture of a flower or something, and it'd focus on something off to the left or right. So not sure if it's just my amateur experience with the iOS camera application. I personally, though, again, I got a few good shots, but there were a lot of situations where I just got really blurred out shots. So not the biggest fan of the camera on the iPhone 5. Again, you can get some really good looking pictures, but I would just have to prefer some cameras on devices like the Samsung Galaxy S4 or the Nokia Lumia 928 for my personal preference. Now let's talk about that call quality, because the iPhone 5, as it says in the name, is certainly a phone, and a phone it is. Let me make sure. Yeah. So phone quality was fantastic on here. People we talked to said that we sounded fantastic, and everybody on my end sounded crystal clear as well. And this model is on Verizon Wireless, so you have access to Verizon Wireless's blazing fast 4G LTE, which get a little bit in my area. I was able to travel to Paw Paw, local city near where I live. Again, fantastic 4G LTE coverage. Never really have too much of an issue with Verizon Wireless's awesome LTE download and upload speeds. So great call quality and great data speeds. Now, to get you through your days of use on the iPhone 5, you have a non-removable 1,440 milliamp hour non-removable battery. And I know you might be thinking, 1,440 milliamp hours, that's nothing, homie dog. Figgity fack. That's low. Well, actually, the battery in here lasted me a surprisingly long time. So if I turned the phone on at 8 o'clock a.m., and with moderate application usage, downloading a few apps, a low picture taking, and heavy texting, I still had about 10% remaining at 9 o'clock p.m. And overall, I was pretty pleased with the battery here on the iPhone 5. Never was looking for my charger before 9 o'clock in the evening. So overall, really, really pleasantly surprised with the battery performance here on the iPhone 5. Now, with all of our hardware out of the way, let's talk about some software. So out of the box, the iPhone 5 is running iOS 6, but there is a planned upgrade to iOS 7 when it launches later this year to the public. The developer SDK for iOS 7 is currently available if you're going to test it, but I personally did not do that. I just kept iOS 6 on here, mainly because this is not my personal phone. I don't want to screw up the review phone. But iOS 6, this is my first time really spending an extensive period of time with iOS. I spent a lot of time with Android mostly, a bit of time with Windows Phone 8, but this is my first real experience with an iOS-based device. And there are some features on here I really did like and I really did dig, but there are also some I kind of hated. So let's just start out with the basics. So obviously you have your home screen right here with your 4x6 grid of applications, and you can swipe through multiple home screens as you install applications. Every app you install will be displayed here on your home screens, and you can rearrange the way the apps are displayed. So I can move my Google Drive up here, and I can move Skype over here if I wanted to. So let's say I want Skype on my main home page. You can do that, and you can add apps into folders like you see I have done with my social apps. So I've got Facebook, Google+, Instagram, and Twitter in one folder. I've also got some utilities in here and some wallpaper apps in a folder. Unfortunately, that's all the real customization you have. You can change the wallpapers and such like I've done with this one, but there's no widgets on here, and widgets I've come to be quite a fan of on Android, and even on Windows Phone 8 with live tiles, which sort of act like a widget of a type. Widgets and live tiles, I love how they bring you the live information straight to your home screen that's related to what you want. But in iOS 6, there aren't any widgets, and it doesn't look like there's any widgets in iOS 7 either, which is a big disappointment for me. I use widgets all the time on Android, and just to have app icons here on my home screen just made it feel and look very stale for me. Now, one thing that I really do like about iOS 6 is the notifications. So I know you'd be maybe thinking notifications have been around on Android pretty much since the very beginning. And notifications in iOS, although they may be late to the party, really do work well. So if you swipe down from the top, you will have your notification tray right here. But what's really nice is that at the top of your notifications, you've got your weather. So I can see the weather for Van Buren County, which is the county I live in. I can see the current temperature, the high and the low. 79 degrees, very nice summer day here in Van Buren County. Swipe over on that though, and I can see a 5-day forecast. 6-day forecast. Look at them. 6-day forecast right there. And I can swipe over again to see the current weather conditions. From here, I can also tap to tweet. So if right from my notifications tray, I can post a tweet to my Twitter page or an update to my Facebook profile. I can also see the current stock situation. So I can see the S&P 500 is up. It's at 1,661.09. All that fun stock information. Looks like Google's down to $871.50. That's a lot of money for one share of Google, fellows. But nice to have your stock information there if that's something you're into. And then I have some notifications from Skype right here from William Flanagan. Good old William getting in my notification tray. But overall, I really do like what Apple did with notifications here on iOS. Now, another big staple of iOS 6 is Siri. So Siri is obviously the voice assistant that you have with iPhones. Personally, not the biggest fan of her. I will say that if you're searching the web or if you're asking for the weather conditions or stocks, I think that Google Now is probably superior in that matter. But if you're going to open an application or set an alarm or something, Siri does best Google Now with that. So let's go ahead and do some tests with Siri real quick and show you how she does perform. How's the weather?
Okay, here's the weather between today and Wednesday.
So what I do like is that you get this nice card right here of the weather, and if I tap on that, it takes me to the weather app. Don't like how robotic Siri sounds. So for example, just show you the comparison between the voices. Let's hop over to the Google application and use Google Now from here. So let's listen to the difference in the human-like sounding of the voices between Siri, and let's try Google Now right now. How's the weather?
It's 78 degrees and clear in Lawrence.
So you can see the voice on Google Now is a lot clearer, a little bit quicker there too. Let's go ahead and try the stocks real quick and see how fast that is. What's Google's stock price?
Google is currently trading at $871.09.
So let's try Siri. What's Google's stock price?
Google is down $2.56 today, or 0.29%, to $871.15.
So I like the little graphics you get here with Siri, and if I touch on that, it'll take me to the stocks application. But Google Now just has a much more human-sounding voice. What's really nice about Siri, though, that is blazingly fast to open an application or set an alarm. So I'll show you an example real quick with that. Open application, Twitter. And you can see immediately opens my Twitter app, or I can say something back out of that. I can say something like set an alarm for 5 o'clock a.m. Let's try that real quick. Set an alarm for 5 o'clock a.m.
Okay, your 5 a.m. alarm is on.
Which is nice that is able to do that. So Siri, she's got her ups and downs. Again, for web search, for web stuff. Devin Wilson, why are you messaging me? Okay, whatever. So Siri is good for, opening apps or doing things that are based on the phone, like setting an alarm or setting a reminder. But I do tend to prefer Google Now for searching the web or checking stocks or checking the weather, stuff that is more location and web-based. So now let's go on to the application store. Apple's App Store, without a doubt, is the best mobile store for applications. Android or Google's Google Play Store is quickly catching up, but there are some apps in the App Store that you just don't get on Google Now, like Tweetbot or Tiny Wings or Infinity Blade or Plants vs. Zombies 2. Apple's App Store, again, just the best you can get. Really is nice to have access to all those exclusive applications on the iOS platform. So my personal thoughts on iOS 6 at this point, kind of got bored with it, honestly. I only really had the iPhone 5 for about a week in my review period, and I got bored of it in just that short period of time. It's nice to have the extremely wide variety of applications to download, but with just app icons and being able to change the wallpaper, I got bored extremely quickly. I love to customize my phones. Android, tons of customization, more customization than you could really want. Windows Phone 8 may not be as much customization as Android. Both the ability to change your live tiles, like theme of your phone, the size of the live tiles, the placement of the live tiles is enough for me, and I really do like it. iOS just is stale to me. I understand that it's the most simple mobile operating system to use, and that's probably great for some people, but for me, it's just not enough. Now, it will be interesting to see how iOS 7 improves on this. In my opinion, could very well change about iOS when iOS 7 is released, but at the current state that iOS 6 is at, just not a fan. Too simple, not enough features for me personally. Again, I know a lot of people like it, but it's just not something for me. Now, with all that said, I ended up giving the Apple iPhone 5 a 7 out of 10, which we are now calling good. My voice cracked right there. That was embarrassing. Our 7 out of 10s were usually an average, but we just changed it to good to give a better representation of the score. Because a 7 is still a really good score. Average just sounded kind of bland, so a 7 out of 10. Still the same score, but we're just calling it good instead of average. For the pros of the device, it's got a very premium design right here, bright and beautiful screen resolution, incredible processing power, and you do have really great call quality. My personal cons, it just doesn't feel especially durable. Screen's too small for my taste, especially for heavy media consumption. Those autofocus issues with the camera. And iOS just feels limited in terms of features and functionality. Still a really good phone, but should you purchase it? Personally, if you're looking for a new iPhone, I would wait and see what Apple announces at their press event on September 10th, which is what we're expecting with the iPhone 5S and the 5C. But if you must have a phone right now, you must have an iPhone. You won't be disappointed with the iPhone 5. It's just amazing how well it has aged. Usually, an Android phone that's a year old would be just bogged down and slow. I'm not saying that because I hate Android. I love Android. But it's just that the iPhone 5 has held up probably the best out of any smartphone I've used, just in terms of aging. Smartphones usually don't age that well, but the iPhone 5 is a really good example of how you make a really long-lasting smartphone. So please feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below about what you think of the iPhone 5 and my review of the iPhone 5. And that's about all the time we have for this episode of Mobile Cup of Joe. Guys, if you liked the video, please go ahead and hit that like button if you liked it. It takes 1 second to do so, and it really does help support the show. And if you want to show your support towards the show even more, I would really appreciate it if you go ahead and hit the subscribe button for more Mobile Cup of Joe videos. Guys, Mobile Cup of Joe, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. And make sure you head on over to our website at www.mobilecupofjoe.com for the latest in technology news, reviews, giveaways, and more. I am Joe Martin from mobilecupofjoe.com. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.